Hey PC gamers, and welcome back to the PC Gamer Chat Log. I'm Lauren Morton and I'm here with Mollie Taylor.
Hey everybody.
And this week we're going to be talking about the games that we've never finished. And there are many reasons for not finishing a game. We've all experienced them. Sometimes life just happens. You know, sometimes you put something down and you just never come back. Sometimes something bad happens and you leave ragefully and you never come back. And let's see, other times it's a JRPG and it's simply too long for anyone to finish ever. No one's ever finished a JRPG, it turns out. Actually, we finished at least a couple of them, but
no, who's ever rolled credits on a JRPG? Nobody.
Never. It's never happened.
And sometimes you just don't vibe, right? Except for you, because you're built different, and you said that you have perfect taste.
I'm just so stubborn, Mollie. That's the thing. I refuse to let anyone influence my taste. So yeah. I pretty much don't go in unless I'm gonna vibe with what I'm playing, because how dare anyone tell me what to do, I guess.
I wish I had that foresight, truly.
I have no trust. I am stubborn and I trust no one. So I don't really recommend it as like a lifestyle, actually, but it's great for only playing games that you know you'll enjoy already. But before we get to all that, Mollie, tell me, what did you do last week? Did you play any video games this week? This has been like a thing for you. Tell me you played some games this week.
I played some video games.
I'm so proud.
I know, right? Thank you. Despite the fact that it has been red hot in the UK. It has been like, because, you know, we have no AC in the house either. So my room, like my bedroom, which is where my console is, my PC is in the office, my console is in my bedroom. And my bedroom was running like 31 degrees Celsius, which is like 87 degrees Fahrenheit, I think.
That's not a good temp for enjoying a game.
It was hot. It was horrific. But despite that, I powered through, and I have not been playing a PC game this week. I am sorry.
Oh, that's right. I know what you were doing.
Baby steps. Yeah, I was playing Final Fantasy 16.
Right. Okay.
Because it's not on PC yet. So
Yet.
It is happening. Just we don't know when. So I've been playing that, and I'm having like an okay time with it so far.
That's tempered from what you said initially.
Yeah. Okay. Right? Because I played the demo. The demo has like such a strong opening. And I was like, oh my God, like I have to buy this game. It's like the first game I've bought on release day in a very long time. And I was like, I need this in my life. And, you know, I'm like 12 hours in at this point. I've been playing in like very small segments because of how hot it's been.
Yeah.
I've been playing in very small segments, and it's okay. But I am finding myself reminiscing about old Final Fantasy games while I'm playing it. Like, I love the medieval setting. Clive is very handsome. Not to be a little degenerate on this podcast.
Wouldn't he fit in with the cast of Final Fantasy 15? He's got dark hair. He's got the broody thing going on. Is he just like another one of those?
He's like a broody boy. He has the right to be. But I'm like, oh, I miss Final Fantasy 12. Oh, I miss Final Fantasy 10. Like, I'm like reminiscent for like the PS2 era of Final Fantasy. But I'm having fun so far. I will finish it. I just don't know if I will feel as strongly as I felt about its opening hours, which is a shame. But it's good. The combat is fun. It's very pretty as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks on PC.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I got up to this week. I powered through the intense heat and played some video games. How about you, Lauren? What did you get up to this week?
Same thing as last week. I've been playing still more Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, which for anybody that doesn't know is a remake of Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life, which was a GameCube and PS2 game. And that was like actually my first farm sim as a kid. Speaking of games that we didn't finish, I did not finish that game as a kid.
Aww.
It's difficult actually. But I'm also having a good time with it. And I think I went into it sort of very wary of the power of nostalgia because I pulled out my GameCube and my copy of A Wonderful Life like around 2015, I think, which is actually
Yeah.
quite a while ago now. But like, I've pulled it out since I was a kid and as an adult, taken a look at it and been like, oh, this game is like moving around. The controls suck. It tells you nothing. And so I went into this remake thinking it can't just be prettier, like it has to still be a worthwhile game to play in the
Mm-hmm.
year 2023. And there are certain things that it doesn't monetize. It's a little stubborn, but I did honestly have such a good time because it does force you to slow down. I think more than any other farm sim, like modern ones do. You're getting like sort of my unfiltered like pre-review thoughts because I'm also writing the review for this, and at time of recording it is not currently up on the site yet, so this is the uh part of the review draft I think coming out in my voice. But it when you play a farm sim, I think it, like all these stories, right, are about being a young person going out to the countryside and like learning to be
Yes.
a part of pastoral life, adjusting to the farm, but then we all play them at like breakneck pace. Everything must be optimized. I must stay up in the mines until 2 a.m. I must run home, drink, chug coffee so I can sprint back to my bed without passing out. That's how we
Yep.
play these games, which is like so antithetical to what they're supposed to be about. And A Wonderful Life does actually force you to slow down. Like really cannot optimize to that level. You have to pay attention to your cows a lot more. Like I screwed up my cows for the first year and I was in such a profit hole because I didn't pay enough attention to my cows
Oh
and
my
didn't realize.
god.
So anyway, there's going to be a review and guides to A Wonderful Life up on pcgamer.com, courtesy of yours truly, because I screwed up some when I started playing. And yeah, if you're also playing, don't make the mistakes that I made. But I think it is genuinely a worthwhile like type of farm sim that the
Mm-hmm.
modern ones, the things that are like Stardew Valley, which was of course inspired by Harvest Moon, which is now Story of Seasons, but they sort of now have their own pace and their own certain expectations. And I do think, detached from nostalgia, that A Wonderful Life is still like has something worthwhile but different from like what all of our modern farm sims are. So anyway, there's a mini
Awesome.
review of Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life. Accidentally, sorry. That's
Go
what.
read the full thing and look
Yes,
after your cows. That
and look
is.
after your cows, or else, just or else. So that is a game that I didn't ever finish as a child, and now we're going to talk about so many other games that we didn't finish as a child, and also probably some things that we've not finished as adults either
Yes.
for various reasons. Okay, Molly. So tell me what kind of games you're like least likely to finish, and why is it JRPGs?
Yeah, see, I think back in the day, back when I like had more time and patience for JRPGs, I tended to not finish like action games, I guess. That was always the one
Mhm.
thing I didn't finish, mostly because it was like a skill issue. Um, but these days it is definitely JRPGs. I feel so bad because like JRPGs are my genre. They're what I
Mhm.
grew up on. They're like what I still consider myself to be like the biggest fan of. I love
Yeah.
JRPGs, but these days I just can't really seem to finish them. Like they are so long. They take so much build up
Yes.
as well.
I have the opposite problem though, Molly.
Really?
Like, yes, because as we get into talking about this, I will admit my many sins of JRPGs that I did not finish as a child because I don't know, a skill issue, I guess, or like you get to the part where you have to grind and I was just like, I'll go play Pokemon again instead, which also, the same thing. But I think I actually finished more JRPGs as an adult.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Like I actually finished like Tales of Arise, the
Oh
newest one.
yeah.
Anyway, that's like just one specific example. We'll talk about other stuff. But yeah, I'm more likely to finish as an adult, which I think is maybe kind of weird. I think that's the opposite of most
Yeah,
people.
I feel like that would be the reverse, yeah, because it's like it's a big time thing for me these days, I
Hmm.
think. It's a time thing. It's a my hobby is now my job thing as
Yeah.
well, right? Like that kind of plays into not wanting to sit down and invest so much time into a JRPG. And like I said, it just takes so much build up that I kind of struggle to keep relearning
Hmm.
how to play a game over and over. So that JRPGs are a big one for me these days. But something else I'm terrible at finishing are co-op games.
Yeah.
I am so bad. The amount of co-op games that I've like started up with a friend or with a family member and then have just we've had like one, maybe two sessions and then it's just
Hmm.
gone, right? I one Christmas, I forget if it was two Christmases ago. I forget if it was 2021 or if it was 2019. Uh, my dad and I started a Man of Medan
Yeah.
playthrough because we were like, oh, we can like take it in turns because they do that, right? It's like, oh, pass the controller because you're this
Hmm.
character. Um, we played that. We were like, oh, this was amazing. Like, we'll pick it up again. It was like really fun to play it with my dad, and we said, oh, we'll do this again like next time. And it has been it has been somewhere
A
between
while.
yeah, it's been somewhere between like 2 and 4 years. So
Oh no.
yeah.
I'm the opposite of that too. Because
Really?
I am more likely to finish like co-op, especially like a campaign co-op game that has a discrete like starting and end point. Like when you start talking about live service games, those are tough.
Yeah.
But like I have one particular friend, like one of my closest friends for a long time. We played Man of Medan together. We played the second part of that series. We played It Takes Two. We played A Way Out. I have examples that we're going to talk about later of campaign games that we played together in high school and like things
Oh,
that we did and didn't finish. So like those I'm actually great at. Like if it were something a lot longer, like I've never tried to play Divinity Original Sin 2 with people. And like if I did that, I feel like that would probably be a failed
that would suck.
prospect. That's a very long game. But like Man of Medan is like 4 hours. It's doable.
Yeah,
I recommend it.
yeah, not for me and my dad apparently. It's not doable. Yeah, so it's like mostly co-op, mostly JRPGs and
Hmm.
occasionally visual novels. They seem to be my big
Yeah.
three. Yeah, they're my big three like roadblocks. And they're all three can you call co-op a genre? Yeah, you can. All three are genres that I love.
It's
I
a
love
genre.
visual novels. I love JRPGs. I love co-op games. But I just seem
Do
to
you
struggle.
have do you have a JRPG that you finished as a kid and then you think about and you're like, I could have never done that today. I would never finish that game. How did I even do it?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, because I played so many JRPGs as a kid. Oh my god. It would probably be like Final Fantasy X or something. That is
Yeah.
probably because that's a big old JRPG. And like I've
That's a perfect
replayed it.
example because that's one I did not finish as a
Oh,
kid. I started it multiple times.
the thing is, I've replayed it like
Hmm.
4 times maybe since that initial
What?
playthrough as a kid. Yeah, I replay it like every few years. I go
Really?
back and yeah, and I think because it's like a TV show almost, right? Like you know
Hmm.
what's happening, you know what to expect. It's just kind of fun. It's just fun to replay. I already know what's coming. And yeah, I don't know. But I think if I tried to do that now, I don't know if I would necessarily
Like if you
be
tried to play it for the
able.
first time again, like now it's
Yeah.
a habit and you can do it. But yeah. Actually, I might jump ahead to talking about rage quit stuff then because Final Fantasy X was like one of my rage quits actually as a kid.
No.
Um yes, because there's a particular boss fight that you get to in Final Fantasy X that's
Oh,
like
which
this
one?
mechanized thing. It's like some kind of robot that you're
Hmm.
battling and it has like hella magic resistance and I guess the party members I had leveled were all like magic users and I'd invested in magic skills, I guess is what happened. And I put myself in a position where like the only character who was really viable damage wise against this boss, and who wasn't like, I think he could even like incapacitate people and like take their magic. I don't recall exactly. This thing sucked. The only character I had at my disposal was Waka, the guy with the mohawk that uses the blitz ball as a weapon, and he just chucks it at shit. I thought that was so stupid, so I never leveled him.
It is stupid.
And he was the only one who could put a dent in this boss, except he was massively underleveled, and I did not want to go back and like reload a save 3 hours prior to start grinding levels for Waka. And I just like pieced out and never finished Final Fantasy X in my life ever.
Honestly, like, it's understandable because that game does not have skippable cutscenes either. There are no skippable cutscenes. They didn't even, as far as I'm aware, from what I recall, the HD remaster also does not have skippable cutscenes.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a particular boss battle that is like preceded by a very, very long cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be like 3 to 5 minutes, which when you're like dying to the boss repeatedly and you have to sit through this cutscene again. I remember a replay I did maybe like 10 years ago now. It was on the PS3. It was the PS3 HD remaster. And I remember like I kept losing and I was sitting through this cutscene, and at one point I sat there and I was like, is this worth it? I was like, I don't remember this as a kid. I don't remember having to sit through this cutscene over and over and over again as a kid. So honestly, it's kind of understandable giving up on that, because I wouldn't do the same thing either. And I've also fallen victim to underleveling, and then having to give up. Also with a Final Fantasy game. So
Thanks, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's always fucking Final Fantasy. So Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns, which is the third game in the trilogy. It's the last game in the trilogy. And it's sort of like spoilers, I guess, for this 10-year-old Final Fantasy game that literally no one cares about. No one cares about it except for me. Like at the end, you kind of have to do like 4 sub bosses and then the main boss, if I remember correctly, if my memory is serving me well. I was not very well leveled. I'd gone into this, and it must have been like a point of no return situation. Or it was like I was very far into this like sub-boss gauntlet, and I just couldn't do it. I was like really struggling. I just didn't have the right stuff. I wasn't like leveled up properly. And I was like, I don't need this. And I quit right before the final boss. I was at the end of the fucking game. And
at the end of the trilogy, no less.
At the end of the trilogy.
Lightning.
And I gave up. I eventually did go back to it. Like 3-4 years later, about 4 years later, I went back to it. I started a fresh save and remembered my mistakes and learned from them.
Yeah, I rage quit at the very final boss battle of Jotun. I don't remember if it's supposed to be pronounced Jotun or Jotun. That Thunder Lotus did. They're the folks that made Spiritfarer, to like totally different kind of game, the cozy game. They have something else coming out. I think they might be the 33 Immortals that we saw during like the Xbox showcase or something like that this month. So anyway, that's Thunder Lotus, and Jotun is like a Viking boss rush type thing. And you get to the final boss, to Odin himself, and he's like throwing lightning around this arena. He's summoning every other boss that you fought the whole time. I've watched YouTube videos of people do it and just felt shame, because in that moment, I mean, I sat there for like 2 hours retrying that fight over and over and over again, and I couldn't freaking do it. And I was like, you know what? For all intents and purposes, I have beat this game. So I'm done here, actually.
I don't need to see the ending.
I don't need to see the ending that bad. I have experienced this final fight, and just because I haven't managed to clinch it, that's okay. I'll be done. And I never finished Jotun.
Sometimes you just have to walk away, right? And I
for my peace, I just had to protect my peace.
Yeah, it's like for my sanity, for like just my peace of mind. Fuck this game, right? And when I was thinking about like games I had sort of dropped, for this episode, I was thinking like there are a lot of games that I have played very close to the end and have not finished. I've just put it down or something has happened. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, that was another
Yeah.
one that I got right at the end. I was like the final level, or I was like 2 chapters away, and I just never went back to it. I watched the ending on YouTube in the end because I was like, I'm not gonna relearn how to play this game. YouTube it is. And
Yeah.
many years ago when I was a console baby still, I was playing Tomb Raider. The Tomb Raider reboot? Yeah, the Tomb Raider reboot, the 2013 one. And I don't recall why, but on this day, my Xbox 360 was stood up vertically. And I'm like on the final 10 minutes. I didn't know it was the final 10 minutes. I was on like the final 10 minutes. And I like uncross my legs and I kick. I kick it and it doesn't fall, but it like kind of does like that. It kind of like shakes. And I just hear this churning. Yeah, it's like churning, grinding noise. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, oh shit. Because I worked at a game store as well. So I knew, like, as soon as I heard that noise, I was like, my disc is ruined. So I like, the game goes black. My Xbox like is like, oh, whoopsie. I like eject the disc and it's got like the worst laser burn I've ever seen. And I'm just staring at the disc and I'm like, oh.
What have I done?
Okay. And I ended up having to pay for a new copy, which is when I then found out that I was 10 minutes
So
away.
close to the end. Was it worth having a new copy to play the
No!
last? Did it at least like save your progress locally, right? And you just or like to the hard drive, and you just needed a new disc, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just the disc, but it was still quite close to the game's release.
Yeah.
Where it was like still
So it wasn't on sale.
Yeah, it was like still kind of like close to full price. That was on me. Like I'm not gonna blame anyone else. That was totally on me. But I should have just walked away from that one, to be honest. That was
I have one that I did just walk away from that wasn't my fault. Because so this is one that I did play with my good friend from high school. And like I said, we still play co-op campaign games together. I think it was like the summer between high school and university that he and I were like, we're just going to splurge. We're just going to go to GameStop and we're going to buy any game that has like a co-op campaign, like back when there were so many more of those that you could play. Everything is live service now. You don't have like a start and end to a campaign. So we went and grabbed just sort of like whatever looked interesting to us. Like we vetted nothing. And we picked up something called, and I had to text him like the other day to get the name of this game because I could not for the life of me remember what it had been called. And he just came up with it immediately. Hunted the Demon's Forge, which I think it was like an In Exile game from like 2011. So it was like new when we were doing this. It's like this co-op like archer and a warrior, some kind of like RPG type campaign. It was like fine, we had a good time, we laughed through the whole thing, but we got to the last fight, and unfortunately he and I can't do anything together without it being like cursed and just like stupid things happening. Like we can't go into public together without some weird shit happening. We can't play games without something happening. And so like the very final fight of this game bugged. There was like an enemy stuck up on like a higher tier of like the arena that like just kept shooting at us and we couldn't reach. Like nothing we did could like damage this thing and the fight wouldn't end. Finally, I don't know what happened. We managed to kill it. We get to the cutscene. The cutscene bugs out, crashes us both to the menu, I'm pretty sure is what happened, and like reverted a bunch of our progress. And we both were like, well, I guess that's the ending of that game for us. Like, that's where we will stop, actually. We'll consider that done.
And like, I do feel kind of bad when I don't finish a game. It's like when you're that close to closing it out, and then you just never, ever like actually get around to finishing it. I do feel kind of bad. But honestly, in that situation, I would have done exactly the same. I would have walked
Oh
away
yeah,
too.
no. That was
That's not
not
my
on
problem.
us. I accept no blame. That's just the unfortunate reality of us playing games together or doing anything together, is that like something stupid and cursed will happen. So
Yeah.
we never got to finish Hunted the Demon's Forge. We played so many things that summer. Like we also played like some random Lord of the Rings campaign game. Um,
Oh.
I don't know if we finished that. That maybe one we didn't ever actually finish. But do you have stuff that you've like honestly tried to finish? Like you've started it over and over again and you just like keep making it to a certain point and you just like, it just never happens.
There are a couple. There are a couple that I have tried a few times. Because normally, if I try a game enough times, it will end up sticking. Like, Ni no Kuni took a couple tries for me to get into, and I did, and it's one of my favorite games now. DJ Max, a really good rhythm game on PC, that took like a few attempts for me to get into as well. But there are a couple. So the first one that I actually thought of is Alice Madness Returns, right? Which is that like 3D platforming, like weird sort of dark twist on like the Alice in Wonderland books. I really like that game. I really, really like it. It's like kind of dark. It's kind of like, it's kind of humorous at the same time. It's got some like dark humor in it. The platforming was kind of fun from what I remember. Like I really loved everything that game had to offer, but I don't know what it is. I just keep putting it down and then never coming back to it. Like I have it on PlayStation 3 and on PC, and I have started saves. I think I had it on Xbox 360 as well. This is a multi-platform attempt. I did have it on Xbox 360 as well. So as I've like jumped from like platform to platform, I always buy Alice and I'm like, this is the time I'm going to play it. This is the time I'm going to finish it. And I never do. I never do. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is that's
There's not like a particular point that you always stop at. It's just
No.
like you just sort of give up.
It's just like something else comes along and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna go play this thing for a bit. And then I come
Mm-hmm.
back and I'm like, well, where the fuck am I and what am I doing? And then just like I just stop. I just stop. And yeah, that's probably one of the main ones, which feels like a weird choice, but it is the one that I've tried really hard with. And I would say the other one is Borderlands 2. I have never
No.
finished Borderlands 2. I have started probably upwards of like 8 or 9 runs of that game, and because I know it's the best, everyone says it's the best Borderlands game. I've
Mm-hmm.
finished the first one quite a few times at this point. I finished the first one maybe like 4 or 5 times, which is nowhere near as much as other people have finished it, but I finished the first
That's
one.
still a lot of times to play one game though.
Yeah, that's still a lot of times to play one game and not play its sequels when they're right there, when they exist. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's mostly just, again, I'm terrible at finishing co-op games. So it's
Is
like,
it a
yeah,
length thing? How long is the first Borderlands?
the first board it's not that long. The first Borderlands, it's probably
Like,
like,
are the sequels meaningfully longer?
I think they are. I think two is substantially bigger than one.
Mm-hmm.
From my memory, I think one only takes like, it can't take more than 20 hours. I want to say like between 10 and 20 hours to complete a run based on how long
Yeah.
like how quickly you're speeding through it. It does not take long. But I think two's got to be at least 30 hours. And
Yeah.
it's that thing of like, oh yeah, we're going to all start a co-op run together, and then like one
Mm-hmm.
person can't make it, or you start like playing another game with those people and it just gets forgotten. It just
Mm-hmm.
gets forgotten. Yes, that really sucks. That's another one that's just kind of laid to waste. And then the third one that came to mind is Kingdom Hearts 3, which is so
Yeah.
sad. I love Kingdom Hearts. It was one of my childhood games. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is a series I grew up with. When they announced 3, I was like so happy. I was like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing to ever happen to me." And then yeah, right? Like that is the headspace I was in at the time. And then it came out and I was playing it and I was like, there's just something that feels wrong about
Mm-hmm.
this game. I could not put my finger on it. And then my roommate at the time unplugged my PlayStation 4. I do not remember why. She either turned it off or she unplugged it. I don't remember why she did it. But it was in the middle of
This
me
sounds like
playing.
roommate drama.
I don't recall why she did it. Like, I think I had a controller of hers, and instead of like turning off the controller, she like turned off the PS4. I
Oh
don't recall
no.
now. Yeah, so that like lost me. It was only about 40 minutes of my
Mm-hmm.
save time. It was not a lot of my playtime, but I was like,
That's enough to quit for the night, and then you don't go back the next night or the night
yes.
after that, and then suddenly you haven't ever gone back.
Yeah, suddenly it's been like, when did that game come out? Like 2018, 2019, I think that game came out.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's been like 4 years and it's like, well, whoopsie. And I restarted a playthrough of it last year because I
Mm-hmm.
tried getting my old save file. It is gone because my PS4 corrupted like 3 years ago now. So my old save file's gone. I tried to start a new save file and I'll
Just
get round to
nah.
it. I'll finish it maybe, but that is another one that I've already tried with. I've made a couple of attempts on that, and I just couldn't. How about you?
So the first Kingdom Hearts, I have a like an embarrassing graveyard of like games on basically my PS2 era as a child or like as a
Mm-hmm.
preteen is just a graveyard of started and never finished games, and Kingdom Hearts 1 is one of those. I if I hear simple and clean, man, like I would literally stick that disc in my console and just like listen to the song
So
because
good.
like the era before Spotify and just prior to iTunes, you wanted to hear a song over and over again, you had to
Yes,
have it on a CD somewhere, and
yes,
if that CD was the opening cutscene of the or the start menu, even actually, you had to let the start menu run for a bit, and then it would start playing
yes.
Simple and Clean.
Don't.
Um,
I did the same thing for Final Fantasy X too. I would because I would watch the opening cutscene, so
mhm.
I would let like the title music play, and then I would start a new game. I would watch the opening cutscene because it has a really good song, and then I would turn the PlayStation off and I would start it again. So you're not the only one who did that.
So I've played the opening to the first Kingdom Hearts game, like the little like the stuff you do on that starter island,
Yeah,
so many times. Or at least I think Simple and Clean plays during the opener because I also did
yeah,
this with Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles because I really liked the start menu music for that too. Um, yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1 is one of those that I started so many times. I didn't ever even get into the Disney stuff, man. I just like stopped at the starter island over and over again. Um, Actually, and then I brought two of my other big failures. I went and dug out of my basement. Thing. Oh wait, they're gonna be
oh my god,
blurry.
oh my god.
Radiata Stories. Has anybody ever heard of
I have not
Radiata
heard of
Stories?
this. I've heard of
No,
the
you
other one you've
haven't.
got.
Atelier Iris, yeah. So Radiata Stories is another crime of a main character whose name is Jack. I think I'm pretty sure his
Oh
name is
god.
Jack, and he like has this rivalry. He wants to be a knight. His dad was famous, and you have to prove yourself. And there's like a tournament. I've played the first like 5 hours of this game, and then it's got like this sort of fable tone to it. To it as
Ooh.
well. Explore your surroundings by kicking everything in sight, from furniture to sheep to people. Uh,
What kind of
um,
description is that?
well, I don't know, man. I'm just reading the back of the box here because I'm trying to remember what this game was. And this fella, his haircut, you won't be able to see this if you're just listening, but it is a 2006 core
Yeah,
haircut
it's boy band core.
for young men. Yes. So I started writing out of stories a bunch of times, never finished it. Same thing with Atelier Iris, and I've never properly played an Atelier game, which is a crime. It's I probably played more of Atelier Iris than Radiata Stories, but also never came close to finishing it. And it's just on the long list of PS2 games as a kid that like Crystal Chronicles, Star Ocean, Tales of Symphonia. That's
Mhm.
another one that was a tough boss fight that got me as a kid, and I never went back. Final Fantasy 10 and 12. I did play a decent amount of 13, and I never finished it because I was a little older then.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just such a graveyard of unfinished
Oh, PS2
RPGs.
JRPGs.
Yes, it's so embarrassing. There's so many of them. I think I could probably even find more down there. And like, yeah, there was a lot of them.
They are hard to finish. And to be fair, to give you some credit, I only finished Final Fantasy 12 on the PlayStation 2 because I action replayed all the characters to have like infinite health and max stats. So
Mm-hmm.
I had like, you know, those discs where you could like cheat code the game and stuff?
Oh, okay.
Like a shark card? Is that no, that's Grand Theft Auto. It's like it was this disc that you put in before you played the game that
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to play, and you could like you could like add a bunch of cheats. So you could like cheat your characters have like infinite ammo or infinite health and stuff
Yeah.
like, oh, like you could sometimes do like model swaps depending on what cheats were on the disc.
Mm-hmm.
I only finished Final Fantasy 12 because of action
Because
replay.
of that.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like so old because I'm not like I'm not like things were better in my day, but also, man, there's just like a beauty and a nostalgia in some of like the dark rituals we would perform on video games at the time.
Yes.
Like it brings back memories of like Pokemon on the GameCube and like the stuff you would do to cheat that game that was just so absolutely bizarre. Love that about that era. It was a good time. Weird physical medium discs, stuff you would have to do to mess with them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the other thing that I would say I've like tried to finish and never finished, but like heavy air quotes on that, is Oblivion,
Oh.
because I did finish Oblivion in my opinion. I played an amount of hours of Oblivion that I think is
Mhm.
appropriate. And I finished like all of the guild quest lines. I just never touched the main quest. I
No.
entered one Oblivion gate and I was like, no thank you. And then I never I
You're like,
never
that's it for
pursued
me.
the main quest ever, but I got bitten and turned into a vampire unbeknownst to me. Classic
Oh.
Oblivion experience. Had to go on a quest to cure myself after I figured that out. Became a leader of the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood and whatever else.
You
So
did so
I
much.
I played so much Oblivion, but I did not like finish Oblivion. Like I
Mm-hmm.
did play the main quest of Skyrim and like finished Skyrim properly. Never Oblivion.
Did I finish the main quest of Skyrim? I must have done.
Did you fight Alduin,
I
the
did,
big dragon?
yes. I did on my very first playthrough on the Xbox 360. Every subsequent playthrough, no. I have like barely even got to what they call the graybeards? That's not what they're called. Is that what they're called?
I don't know.
I
You're
think
putting me
they're
on the
what
spot.
they're
I'm gonna
called.
forget.
The old
That sounds
dudes.
right.
It's the grey something, I'm pretty sure. Oh my god. Lauren, we're,
I'm
we're supposed
googling
to
it.
know these things.
Yeah, it is the Greybeards, or an
It is the
ancient and honored
graybeards.
order.
It did not
Yes.
sound correct in my brain.
No, you're fully right. It would be just like a compound word, the most boring compound word.
But that's like right at the start of the game, like of the main quest. That's pretty close to the start of the main quest, and I
Mhm.
barely ever um get past that bit. To be fair, you don't need to finish the main story in Elder Scrolls games. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what I think. It it's not even about the main quest most of the time. It's
No,
about the experiences you have along the way, the vampire
exactly.
plots you uncover. Um, there's always a vampire plot.
There is always a
There,
vampire.
the one in Skyrim is pretty fun too, where there's like secret vampires in that
Yes.
one village. Ooh, I'm gonna forget its name, but between that and Oblivion, it's like very common in Oblivion, I think, early on to get bitten by a vampire and not realize it. I think there's a vampire that attacks you like in a particular spot, and if you don't
Ah.
know that turns you, it takes a while for you to be like, why am I taking damage? Why am I dying? What's happening to me? And before you figure out, like, oh my god, I am a vampire. That's a great
It's like, oh, that happened, I guess. I have
unplanned
a question for
experience.
you.
Yeah. Yes.
I have a question for you actually. To drop you on the spot. Is there a game that everyone else loves that you tried to play and you just couldn't get into it? and you never finished it because of that?
Ooh. I mean, I've already talked about Kingdom Hearts, which I'm just not into. And then I have sort of a backup answer I guess I could give, but I'm trying to think of a more honest one, like something that actually like people love and I just didn't enjoy. I don't know.
I've
Hold on, let me
totally
write
dropped
it.
you on the spot here. I
No,
can
it's
I can give
okay.
my answer
Yes,
while
give your
while you
answer and I'm
think.
gonna pull up my Steam library because I'm curious to see if I can pick something.
Having a brain fart. So it's like everyone loves Dishonored.
Oh, okay,
Everyone
yeah.
friggin' loves that game. Like everyone I spoke to when that game came out, everyone said how amazing it was. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I want to play this game as well because everyone else loves it and I'm going to have a great time with it." And then I played it and I just could not get to grips with it for the life of me. It was like, hey, here are these like really cool things that you can do in the game. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to do them. And the game's like, wait, no, don't do those things. Because if you do those really cool things that we just told you about, things are going to go bad. And you're going to be punished for doing all these really cool things in this cool game. And I was like, and because I always have to be like morally correct in a video game. I can't play evil. I have to do like good guy, morally straight, like playthrough every single time. Maybe on a second playthrough, I do like my dickhead playthrough, but
Yeah.
first playthrough is always like the good guy, the hero. So I was like, okay, well, I want to play it good. I want the good ending. So I
Mhm.
guess I don't want the rats. So I guess I'm just gonna not do the cool stuff that I can do. And I don't know. I got like a few hours in with that, and I was like, I can't do this. Why does everyone love this? And I can appreciate that it did a lot of good, but it just wasn't for me. And I'm kind of upset about that. I'm upset that I wasn't a Dishonored girly.
I'd say I'm pretty stubborn. And I usually know what I'm going to like and dislike. And the more
Yeah.
people try to talk me into something I know I'm not going to like, the more stubborn I am. So I usually don't find myself in this position. And I will give Mass Effect as the example of that. I have never played a
Ooh.
Mass Effect game. And I call myself a BioWare fan, right? I have not played Mass Effect. I did not play Anthem because, as we know, I'm a fantasy girly, not a sci-fi girly. And
Yeah.
like I would probably enjoy Mass Effect, but I'm just like I'm not going to spend the time to play Mass Effect. I know the twists of the story because I exist on the internet. Um I know people love Garrus, and I just don't know that I'm ever going to play it. Despite like the fact that I should love it and everybody else loves it. But a better answer to something I've actually tried and not been able to really get into or finish is um, Monster Hunter World. And
Oh.
I started this with multiple friends who are really into it. And like I wanted to be into it with them because I love co op.
Mm-hmm.
And something about Monster Hunter World, it was this like weird twofold issue for me of I couldn't ever pick a weapon that really felt right to me.
Yeah.
Um, I think like I tried the switch axe, and I still felt like too squishy and like I couldn't control like as deftly as I wanted to. Like I went around to so many different weapons and I just never landed on something that felt like I was contributing to damage, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
without being like constantly revived by people. I just felt like a loser and a stupid head while I was playing Monster Hunter World with my friends. And also, I think the degree to which it is co op was like not as much as I like,
Yeah.
because you have to like group up and then like go on a particular mission. It's not like,
It's a bit
it's not the
annoying.
it's just a little bit fiddly, and it's not like I couldn't have dealt with that. But those two things together, I just sort of never went back to Monster Hunter World. Um, I've played a Monster Hunter.
Rise?
No, I haven't played
Oh.
Rise. I think I bought Rise and I haven't played it, which is so stupid of me because I wanted to give Monster Hunter another try. I played Monster Hunter Stories 2. I got on my Switch actually and played because that's the Pokemon E like one that's
Mm-hmm.
turn based, which circumvents the issue I was having with weaponry choice. I also didn't finish that, but I did put more time into that and enjoy it more than the like action combat in Monster Hunter World. So yeah.
It's understandable. It does always kind of suck admitting defeat with a game that everyone but you likes.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
wanted to like it. Like it should be
Yeah.
something I like. It is in the fantasy vein. It has fashion. When you kill all the monsters, you take them back and you turn them into coats, which like is dire, but I sure do love fashion.
It's cool.
Um, yeah. Uh oh, Molly, you were talking about if there's like any particular like series or collection of things
Yeah.
that you've bought and just like you either never touched or never finished. What is your great sin?
Yeah, so I have two. I have two. Um my first one is Halo. I when that Halo Infinite multiplayer, the Halo Infinite multiplayer came out, my friend wanted to play it. So I was like, okay, I'll jump into Infinite. And I liked the concept of it. I didn't particularly love the multiplayer, but I liked the Halo, if that makes sense. So my friend was like, "Oh, you should get the Master Chief Collection. You should buy it. We'll do like the co-op campaigns together." And I was like, "Yeah." So I bought Halo Master Chief Collection. I installed it, and we never played it. And I have never touched a Halo game outside of Halo Infinite multiplayer, which is perhaps the worst starting point to introduce yourself to the Halo series. That is, but thankfully that's just like one game in your library, right? That's not like a stack of games like
Yeah.
having the Yakuza series in my Steam library that I am still yet to play. I got halfway through Zero, and
Hmm.
I don't remember why I stopped because I was having such a good time. I was doing that like Scaletrix, like the little
Yeah.
like electric car mini game. I could not stop doing it. I was so
Hmm.
engrossed in it. That took up so much of my like playtime. I was having a great time, and then I forget what.
You got over the first big hump for people, right? Where you switch from Kiryu to playing as Majima, and then
Yeah.
you've never seen him before, you don't know him. You're like, am I going to like him as much as Kiryu, who I just got very attached to for the first two chapters
Mhm.
of this game?
It is
I
like
think
kind of
that might be a
jarring.
failure point for people until you're like, oh no, I also love this one. Like,
Yeah, it takes a little bit of
he's
time.
perfect too.
I got past that, and then
Okay.
I don't recall what else. I don't recall what happened. I don't remember if like another game came along, but I just stopped playing it. I just stopped playing it, and every time I keep telling myself because I know that I will love the games. I know
Hmm.
I will love them, especially now that they're like going into the sort of turn-based RPG
Yeah.
like side of things. I that's me. That is my jam. Like what the hell, Molly? Why are you not playing these games that are so clearly like built for you, for your pleasure? And
Hmm.
I'm like angry at myself that I've still not played them. It's a time thing more
It
than
is a
anything.
time thing because you would love seven, and that's like a valid entry point, the newest
Mm-hmm.
one. Except that I don't know how much time normal people spend on that game. I think I clocked 120 hours at the credits.
Oh
That's not normal. I
no.
acknowledge that. I don't remember what I was doing that whole time, but I
Nope.
looked at my playtime when I rolled the credits and I was like, well, that's embarrassing.
Nah, it's gotta be done. That's about my
Eh,
playtime on Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age. So
really?
yeah, by the time because I originally played it on PlayStation because I'm woefully impatient and can't wait for my silly little JRPGs to get ported to PC. Uh, so I bought it on PlayStation 4, and by the time I got the platinum, because I did everything in that game, by the time I got the platinum, it was about 120 hours, which again is
Yeah.
probably not normal, but
If I were gonna go back and make an honest effort at a Final Fantasy game, it would be Final Fantasy 12. Like that one
yeah,
has the vibe that I want, that like weird fantasy steampunk shit.
I think it would be your
Um,
favorite. Yeah.
I know that's got to be the one for me, and at some point I'll go back and do it. Yeah. Do you? I would say actually, and this is like a totally different question, just because you're talking about Yakuza, and for me, while we're speaking about games that we haven't finished, that one's a miracle that I did finish. Like the fact that I've played all of those games
Mm-hmm.
is ridiculous. Like I should not have been capable of that, and I think I know why it happened. I started them in 2020 in
Yeah, you like speed ran them, didn't you? I distinctly recall picking up a copy of our magazine and your must play was in it. I think this was like right as I was starting or right before I
it
started
was.
working here. Your must play was in the back and it was just all the Yakuzas.
And that is one of my prouder moments in our magazine. In fact, this is when Robin Valentine, who's been on this podcast with us before, was the editor for the magazine, currently now a website writer. I have a
Mm-hmm.
copy of that particular edition somewhere around here because I need to frame that. I got asked to do the must play, which is where in the magazine we recommend like 8 particular games that we think you should really be playing right now. And the Yakuza like 3, 4, and 5, the combined collection, had just finally released on PC. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked Robin, I was like, I wrote a normal version of the must play. I was like, okay, here's a normal version. This is what you asked for. Here's a version that's conveniently 8 Yakuza games. And it's very timely because they all just, now they're all on PC. Can I do it? And he said yes. So thank you, Robin, for supporting my bullshit.
Yes.
That was a
Bless
great moment for
Robin.
me.
It's one of the few must plays in our magazine that is like seared. It's always your stuff in the magazine that I
Oh
that I remember
no.
really fondly. Like your Sleeps on Bridges feature that
I
was also
do
in the magazine.
I do love that one. That did go in the
It's
mag too.
an equally great piece. But
Do
yeah, I
you
love
have a
that must
series
play.
like that though, where you've like it's a miracle actually that you finished it and you're like, actually it's shocking. This should have been something that I would have quit on, but I did finish it?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very good question actually. Because I have played through like my fair share of game series.
Mm-hmm.
It
I'll tell
it
you
might
while you think about it, unless you have one.
yeah. It it might be the 13 trilogy, honestly. Like it is kind of a miracle. The like 13, 13 2. Sorry, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13 2,
Oh, I was like,
Final
what
Fantasy.
is the 13?
Yeah,
Okay.
because everyone should just know automatically what I'm talking about, Lauren. Oh my god.
We already talked about it, so I should actually be on the same page as you. But
It
look,
is probably the Final Fantasy 13
okay,
trilogy. Like it is a
because
miracle that
that
I did finish that.
is that the longest set of direct sequels for Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Okay,
So 10 has a sequel. 10 has
yes.
10 2. 12 has like it's I don't know if it's a sequel or if it's a spin-off. I think it's called Revenant Wings. And that
Mm-hmm.
was on the DS. But that like sort of Fabula Nova Chrysalis, I think the lore of that world is called for Final Fantasy 13. Yeah, that's 3 whole games, baby. And I have played through all of them like 2 or 3 times at this point. Again, no idea how I've done it because I played through them all on Xbox and then I played through them all again on PlayStation 3, which is when I finished Lightning Returns. And then I started playing through them all on PC. Again, I'm like I don't know what this like insistence I have upon like playing games across multiple platforms. It is probably a miracle that I finished those honestly because that third game especially becomes quite tedious. And you know what? Actually, no. Oh my god, BioShock. It is a miracle I finished BioShock.
Oh,
I
okay.
am. I don't talk about my love for BioShock that often on this podcast. On the site really, but I genuinely have like a really like a pretty big soft spot for the BioShock
Mm-hmm.
series. For all, for what BioShock Infinite is as a game, for like all that sort of bullshit. Like the trilogy, I really, really do enjoy the trilogy. But I'm not an FPS person. I'm not a shooter
Yeah.
person. I'm not like those games I normally would not give 2 fucks about. I would not care about them. And I loved BioShock 1. I adored BioShock 1 and then BioShock 2 put me off the series for a little bit. And I was like, I don't really like BioShock 2. I'm not going to play it. And then again, I went back to BioShock 2. I gave it another chance. And I was like, oh, actually, this is pretty fun. So I played through BioShock 2, and then I bought BioShock Infinite when that came out on release. And then they did like the remaster trilogy. And I played through it again. Why do I keep doing this? Why do I
Mollie,
keep, like,
spend some of that time on the Yakuza series, please. I'm begging
honestly,
you.
why do I keep replaying games over and over again? It's so stupid. But those are games that on paper, like, would not be my kind of games at all. So yeah, like, for me to get through those and enjoy them as well, despite everything wrong with them, is nothing short of a miracle, honestly.
I think my big sin is that I at one point bought this big collection of Star Wars games it was like on a Steam sale, and I was just like, yeah, sure, $15 for like 15 Star Wars games or something silly like that. And I mean, Knights of the Old Republic is in here, and Knights of the Old Republic 2, and then like Starfighter, Clone Wars Republic Heroes, Force Unleashed, Battlefront 2, Dark Forces.
That's so many.
There's so many of them, and like only some of those I could tell you anything about them. The fact that I haven't played Knights of the Old Republic I know is sinful, but like I'm looking at my Steam library right now, and all these are grayed out because they've never been installed before. So I bought them, and like, what have I done? They've just been sitting there forever. Whoopsie. Let's see. Do you have, okay, so of all the stuff we've talked about, or even stuff we haven't talked about, what is like the one main thing that you're like, I do need to finish it, other than Yakuza, which I will vote for you, but pick something different. What do you actually need to go back and finish? Give it a fair shake or get over the hump?
Oh, apart from Yakuza, because that is one that I'm like,
yeah.
The longer I go without playing it, the more annoyed I become with myself for not having played it. Eventually, I do want to go back and finish Kingdom Hearts 3. That is probably the big one, especially for how much those games meant to me as a child. You know, those games were like, they really shaped like my childhood, right? And I remember I'd had like a really bad day at school. I'd had like the worst day at school, and I was, this is a bit of a sin, okay? This is a bit of a sin. I played Kingdom Hearts 2 before I played Kingdom Hearts 1. I was a child.
You didn't know any better.
I didn't know any better. My frame of reference for like numbered games was Final Fantasy, where
there are no rules, no laws.
Yes,
like
there are no rules. So I saw Kingdom Hearts 2 and I'm like, it's fine. I'll So, you know, I played Kingdom Hearts 2 before I played Kingdom Hearts 1. And then while playing Kingdom Hearts 2, I was like, oh, okay, there is a game before this that I should have played. And I remember I had like the most rotten day at school. It was horrible. I got sent home early because I was like having a really bad day. And my mum picked me up, and I remember getting into the car, and she like reaches around into the back seat, and she like presents me with like Kingdom Hearts 1. And it meant so much to me, and that series in general means so much to me. So for me to not have closed it out and kind of finished the third one is outrageous. So that is one that I will play eventually, because like I said, the series means a lot to me. So I feel like I owe it to that series to finish it.
I already mentioned Final Fantasy 12. I think that's probably one for me. But then also, as I mentioned earlier, the Atelier games. There's also so many Atelier games, and I know this. I think an acquaintance has recommended me like Atelier Ryza, I believe, which was one of the newer ones.
Yeah.
I just need to figure out which Atelier game to play, because I know I should like them. And I just, because I've started and failed to launch on Atelier Iris as a kid so many times, I just like have never gotten in the headspace to try a new one. But I think that's like the one that I want to rectify the most.
I was actually looking at this recently as well. It's so strange that you mention it, because I was also looking into the Atelier games, because I had Atelier Rorona on the PS Vita, and that is another one that I didn't finish. But I was like, oh, like this game is like so fun though. It's like the Alchemist of Ireland. I think the like the subtitle of it was. And I was like, oh, I really should play like more Atelier games. And I think Riser, that like the Riser ones are the ones that are recommended because I think, like you said, they're the newer ones. So maybe we should do that. Maybe we should both do that.
Yeah, we should both be playing an Atelier game for
We
sure.
should.
Well, that is all of our big gaming sins, all of the things that we have not finished. Most of them. I'm sorry about Mass Effect.
I'm sorry about Dishonored. Please don't come for me.
Yeah, but we'll do our best. We're actually better about finishing games, certain games these days. I guess maybe I am and you're not. I don't know. We're doing our best out here. Look, we finish games for work all the time. So then you're like playing something that's not specifically for work and is actually just for fun, and then you just like, whoops,
forget about it. But you know what? Yeah. I feel like a weight has been lifted off me talking about this. This is very
You've performed the gaming confessional.
Yeah, I like that was very therapeutic. I feel so much better now.
I'm so glad. Oh, thank you for helping me confess.
Yes.
Yeah. Good job, Molly.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.